Hi, this is Clarity Coach Lucy and welcome to Tuesday Talks at 3. This is episode 4 of the Abundance of April series, a series that focuses on you and your abundance. What a beautiful way to end our month of April on this topic of today, but a little bit of that later. For now, it's just a recap. It's a recap on the different episodes that we have been having on this series of the Abundance of April. I absolutely loved it. Did I mention it's my birthday month? Yes, I will be celebrating my birthday in 2 days' time. And I'm loving the abundance of April. I'm loving the growth that April brings. I love this month. It's all about the fertility of things that you can be able to plant or sow. And when you are reaping, which is a few months down the road, there's all this richness for the things that you did today. So question to you is, what are you doing today to make a better tomorrow? The decision is yours. And in these episodes of Abundance of April, I just hope that they have been able to be so powerful for you that you can apply. Well, let's do a recap. In episode 1, it was all about your personal growth. It was your personal growth. And if you remember well, we talked about doing things differently. Falling out of that routine. And instead of doing things in the same way, if you could do them differently and just see the abundance that comes out of that. And my personal experience that I shared in episode 1 is that I love to walk. I really love to walk. But I'm a creature of habit also. So though I walk and I'm a creature of habit, when those two things meet, it means that I have a specific route that I take, a specific area that I take. And my disclaimer is I have about 3 or 4 of these, but they're specific. And I never venture out of them. So they actually become routine. So whether it is route 1, 2, 3, 4 that I take, it's the same way that I walk on route 1. And one thing that I did to shake up and create abundance in my life and have some personal growth is I did things differently. I started to walk in different directions of these paths. I started to cross roads at different places. I started to stop and do my stretches at different spots. And suddenly I realized that there was so much richness and abundance around me that I hadn't paid attention to. I was used to crossing the road here and I knew there was a rock, there was a pothole, there was a shop, there was a sound that I would hear. And now I opened up myself to new things. So when we do things differently and step out of our routine, we grow. We grow. So I'm not asking you to change the entire thing that you're doing. I'm just asking you to be present to it. That was number 1. The other one is your intuition. And that was in episode 1. So in episode 1, I'm talking about intuition. Intuition is powerful. It's there in your gut. It's a gut feeling. It's that one where we say hindsight is 2020. When you look back and you say, but I knew it. I felt it. I figured that out. So why didn't you go with it? Because you doubt your intuition, your sixth sense, your instinct. So I encourage you that when you do all the logical and all the mathing, as we call it here in Kenya, when it all comes together as sense, have a look at it and then commit it to your instincts. Because all these other things that are theoretical that you have put together have got research and data that are backing it up. The one thing that is missing is your instinct. So for you to have personal growth, use more of your instinct when you finally come to making decisions on big things that you have put together with research and data. It's important to do the research, the data, your due diligence, and then you just come in and throw your instinct in it. Learn to trust it. Just learn to trust it. Number 2, which was episode 2, it was about creating at least one positive change. At least one positive change towards abundance. And then I had people asking me, what particular change are you looking at, Lucy? There's so many things that we can do in our lives that we can change. And I came back and advised that change is inevitable. It will happen. But here we're talking about your growth towards abundance. What you need to do is take on this growth, because then growth is optional. And one thing that we can do is this optional growth is that we can make an action to make that change happen. It's not just something we're talking about. It's not just a theory and we go around quoting, oh, change is inevitable. What are you doing about it? Are you applying that change in your life? Or like Mahatma Gandhi said, are you being that change in your life and other people's lives? Well, episode 2 was about that. And I gave an example to someone I was talking to after that episode about your back, because I've had back issues. And I have had to go to chiropractors and physiotherapists and osteophytes to figure out my back. And you know what it was? Once they cracked it back, once they just were able to massage it or release the pressure on the back, I was aligned. I could sit up straight, walk up straight. I could move. I was flexible because my back had been realigned. And with that example, I bring it to you now. Look at the important things in your life. Go back to them, revisit them, and see what needs to be realigned. And I gave you an example of what you could do. List them out, and then you just rate them out of 10. And you pick the ones that have got the very lowest score. The best practice here is to pick the ones with a high score. See what you are doing right. You most probably will find that it's something you enjoy doing. It's something that comes natural, like a skill or a talent. Well, what you want to do is create that kind of environment for your lowest scoring area of your life. Now, it could be something to do with your me time. Your me time is really not getting enough time, or rather the time it should be getting. But on the other side, when you're looking at things like your career, it's got all your attention. So what is it that you are applying to that area of your life that you can borrow to this other area of your life? I beg your pardon. It's your life. This is not a practice. This is the real thing. So that was episode 2. It was about making one positive change. So what one positive change were you going to make? I encourage you to do that. For me, I cracked my back into place. Episode 3 was about shifting our thinking. And that's a powerful one for me, because for me, words are very important. And if you remember, and you must go over to the recordings, if you remember, it was about having motivational thoughts. What thoughts are in your mind that can help you move forward? Not thoughts that are making you sit in your past. Not thoughts that are holding you back and telling you that you cannot do what is expected for tomorrow. So already your thoughts are taking you to that future, and yet you're totally forgetting about the present, the here and now, the where you are. This is so important. So in this episode, I was encouraging you to remember those thoughts that are keeping you up and going, and they're great, because your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions, and your actions become your habits. So definitely you have to pay attention to those thoughts that you have. Well, we now come to the end. And today, as we come to the end of the Abundance of April, this particular episode is about living in autopilot. And it's about existing versus thriving. And I'm sure you've heard a lot about this. And if you are existing in abundance and you look at thriving in abundance, definitely it is a better option that you want to be able to thrive. Remember, this is April. This is April where we are able to sow and then we reap later. So we need to have that fertility. We need to have that proper ground where we can go and plant. We are creating abundance from the beginning. So what is it for you? Is it about you existing, or is it about thriving? I'm hoping it's going to be about thriving. You see, the really devastating part about living on autopilot, especially when we think that we're doing right, we're doing well, we are excelling in our lives. It's autopilot, guys. It's not living. I mean, think about the pilot in his aircraft or in her aircraft, and suddenly they've just engaged autopilot and they go about doing their other things, maybe checking the aircraft, or maybe going to see what the staff are doing on the flight. I'm mumbling here because never been a pilot, so I'm trying to imagine what the pilot does. Or going to answer a call of nature, or I don't know, just enjoying the clouds out there. It is in autopilot. It sounds like as if it's a good place to be. Yes, when you're flying an aircraft, maybe, and I'm not an authority on that. But if you are living your life and you're in autopilot, this is existing mode. And I'm going to bring up relationships here. And it is relationships with the important aspects of your life. So could it be your relationship with food? Could it be your relationship with your career? Could it be your relationship with your spirituality? Could it be your relationship with your money, with your family, with your fun time, your exercise? What is it, these relationships that we're looking at? Are you on autopilot? So what would autopilot look like? Let's look at autopilot of relationship with your career. So you show up to work every day, or your business every day, and you're just doing this mundane task one after the other, and you finish it. You've actually done what you came to do during the day. Congratulations, you finished your day. But there's no oomph, there's no life. It's as though you are just walking through it and doing it for the sake of doing it. That's the relationship I'm talking about. What about food? You may be just walking into a supermarket, a grocery, or a market, or a buyer's market, and you're just buying things for the sake of buying because it's on your list. But there's no intentionality on what it is that you're picking. That's your relationship with food. Why are you picking that specific thing? So we can exist and just pick off a list, or we can thrive by picking off things that matter in our lives. So I just want you to think about it. Is it a project that you have? Your relationship with your project. This project that requires you to show up full, 100%, 110%. You've done it so many times and you can do it in your sleep. And really there's no challenge, there's no excitement when you're doing it. I hope you're getting the idea now. Your spirituality. I am Catholic. And with Catholic, we go into church and we've got all the standing, the kneeling, we've got the walking up and down, we've got the handshake. Nowadays we don't, we just clasp our hands. We've got the prayers, the common prayers, and this can get really boring. So when I go to church, I am intentional. I thrive when I go for my mass. I can either opt to do what I used to do before, tick it off the list. I went for mass. That's existing. That's autopilot. Did you go to church? Yes, I did. Did you listen to the homily? Yes, I did. What were the learnings? 1, 2, 3. But if I am thriving in church, it's totally different. I mean, you should see me in church, but that's a story for another day. I hope this is helping you to understand the existing mode. This is the existing mode, where you're just walking in and everything seems to be running smoothly. You're on autopilot. You're just living your life. You're just wishing for more. But you're not really sure if there's more and how to get it. You need to ask yourself, why? Why am I doing all these things and still I feel there's something missing? It could be that you are in existing mode. So today we're going to be talking about the thriving mode. So while many people live out their entire lives in autopilot, this does happen. And maybe you're recognizing yourself now. And already you're picking up 1 or 2 things from this conversation of things that you can shift, shape, things that you can move. I hope that's already happening for you. There's a way that we can move from that autopilot and have a more rewarding and successful life by using these very relationships that we have with the important aspects of our life. I hope I am speaking to somebody out there. You need to be aware of what's happening around you. You need to be adaptable when it comes to life. Yesterday was yesterday. We need lessons from yesterday. We don't need a rehash. Tomorrow is not promised, but there's hope for tomorrow. So we want to be able to plan for it. But there's something in between, and that's the present. So I'm going to take you through 3 simple tips that I am hoping at the end of our session is going to help you move from existing mode into thriving mode in little small steps. It's not about doing that big makeover in your life. It's just little things. So you're going to ask me, how do you do that? I'm going to answer you and say, let's do it one step at a time. Let's not take leaps and bounds on this point. Let's take one step at a time. Let us get used to it. Let's bring it into a reality in our life and be able to say, I did this one thing and it actually worked, Lucy, and therefore I'm going to keep on applying it. So there are three, they're simple, and here we go. The first one is just stop. Stop. In this life, there's so much noise that goes on around us that at times we choose to block out the noise, the distraction, because it's too loud. And then we just go on with our head stuck down and low, and we go on with life. That's existing mode. We want to thrive. So stop, yes, I agree that you stop, but stop in a different way. You have heard about the proverbial smell the roses and the proverbial smell your coffee. These are things that really have essence. If you think about the last time, if you're a flower person, if the last time that you bought a bouquet of flowers and you just sunk your nose into those petals and just smelt life and what it does for you, you almost feel like you're breathing it into your chest, into your lungs, and just filling you with life. And this is the essence of life. When you're smelling that coffee, not necessarily straight from the cup, but you could be careful of the steam. But when you walk into a place where coffee is being brewed, wow, what does that do to your senses? So talking about senses and pulling from that, what I'd like you to do is engage your senses. So stop and engage your senses so that we can move you into abundance. Well, we've talked about smelling the roses and smelling the coffee. What about seeing? Out on my walks, the things that I see, I intentionally go out and I look for things to see that are different, things I haven't seen before. And if it's the same thing that I'm seeing, I look at it differently. I look at the different perspectives, I beg your pardon, of this thing. And it just gives me like an injection into my arm. It just gives me this life. And I encourage you to do this. That is your sense of sight. Curiosity like a 6-year-old. Think about what a 6-year-old goes through. They are now in school and they're already forming friendships. They're already having other people who are thinking like them, or so they think. And they've got this amazing world before them. Just watch a child and their curiosity. They hear something. That's another sense. And they already ask, what is that? And why does it sound that way? Explain it to me. Tell me what it means in my life. Or they're recognizing sounds. That is the voice of mom. That is the voice of my pet. That is how my teacher sounds. If you hear another sound, you say, that sounds familiar. It's like what happens when I am out playing. So as an adult, that's already your third sense. That is you hearing. Use it. Use touch. Touch. How many times do you take time to feel, just for your phone, just feel your phone. Feel the texture. If you're holding a piece of paper, feel the paper. Take time to engage your senses and see that they are alive. Touch your skin. How does that feel? Touch your hair. This is you just using your senses. Your 5 senses are there for a reason. Taste. Taste is just amazing. Stop and taste something. So if you're having your meal, at times, especially when you're in the rat race of today's world, you tend to want to eat quickly and move on and do the next thing. Take a moment and stop. Chew your food. Taste that food on your palate, on the roof of your mouth. Taste the food as it goes down your throat. Be able to figure out different things that you can do. Your senses are there, and there's a reason that they are God-given. Think about how you're just shaking up and shifting things in your life. So what is it that you need to stop and be aware of? What is it that you need to stop and apply your senses to? This is one way that you can move from existing mode into thriving mode. And by extension, you move into abundance. I'd like you then, number 2, to revisit yourself. We are so used to doing things, like I said before, that we can do it in our sleep. Now, one of the things that are always done in the beginning of the year, but not necessarily in that order, but that is where it is put in a calendar event so that it makes sense, is that we set up goals for ourselves. And it seems to be the time that we measure with 12 months. Maybe you do it differently, but for the sake of today's session of living on autopilot, let us use that as an example. So we've set our goals. It is April now, it is the 4th month. Do you remember the goals that you set beginning of the year? Revisit that emotion that you had when you were setting those goals. Do you still have that excitement of achieving that dream? Do you still have that motivation? Are you still inspired by those thoughts? So revisit it. Go back and think about your short and your long-term goals. Or if you have medium-term goals, think about them. And now I'm going to introduce those relationships again. Did you have these type of goals, short, medium, and long term, for your career? Did you have it for your food, your nutrition? Did you have it for your money, your finances? Did you have it for your family? Where are they now? Do they still exist? Or has life happened? Have you gone through that routine and forgotten that you did have some goals that were set up? Revisit them. Reintroduce them to yourselves. See yourself in that place. Things have happened in the last 4 months which have shaped your thoughts and your attitude. And maybe now when you look at that goal, maybe you're seeing things deeper. You're seeing how you can take it into fruition. Or you need to just change a few things. It's allowed. This is your life. As long as you know there's a destination that you're going to, you need to enjoy this journey. And if it means that during this journey we need to change a few things, then change them up. Walk a different route. Stir your tea in a different direction. Shake your gin and tonic as opposed to, stirring it, whatever that means. But yes. So rewrite your list and start working on accomplishing your next short-term goal. And your guidance here that I'm giving you is just look at the relationships that you have. Because it is in these relationships, these different things in your life that are going to make a difference to you moving from existing to thriving. Remember, we're talking about abundance. And abundance is that feeling of joy, of fulfillment, of just making a difference in the things that you do every day. Well, the third one is to be alert to the present. And I'm big about the present. I will say it again. The past is in the past. It is good for the lessons learned that we can apply today. It is not a place to dwell because we are human beings. We're about growth. We move forward. Growth is not backwards. Tomorrow is not promised, but there is hope in tomorrow. And therefore we need to plan for that we will still be there to experience tomorrow. But there's one space in the middle here that needs our attention, it needs our focus, our energy, and that is the present. And yes, it is the present because it is here now, and it is a gift. It is a gift because we get to live it. So what are you doing about this present? Let's go back to our relationships. If it is about food, are you making an intentional choice when it comes to your food? Or are you allowing yourself to be led by whatever is happening around you? I remember in my corporate world, we were working in the hotel industry. And when you walk in for a meal or a meeting with a client or for an event, the food is already laid out for you. Now you have a choice. You can choose to eat what is laid out because that's what it is there for, or you can go back to what your relationship with food is all about and then make your choices from that place. You're not there to explain to anybody why you were making certain choices with your food. This is about you and your life. But the choices that you make, you could actually be motivating somebody else to make certain shifts in their life. This is about being authentic to yourself. And for those who know me, they know me and food and how I'm specific about what goes onto my plate. And the minute that I have allowed myself to plate my food in a way that I'm not happy about, I already feel misaligned. I don't feel right. And then I feel like I have to explain myself away. It's only because I know I am not being true to self. My relationship with food is very, very profound. I choose what I put in my body. And I know when things go wrong, when I start putting things that I'm not supposed to put in my body, I know the signals are stress. The signals are depression. The signals are I'm not well, and therefore I'm having these cravings. But I know myself. Do you know yourself? That's me and my relationship with food. My relationship with my career also. I am a workaholic, for those of you who know me. I am a recovering procrastinator. This is something new that people don't know about me. And I overcompensate by being a workaholic, by making sure that all my I's are dotted and all my T's are crossed. There's something I'm running away from, and I'm working on that. That is a limiting belief, but that's a story for another day. And if you can resonate with what I'm saying and you need help, just reach out to me, because I am experiencing this, I live it, and I have tools that work for me. So start thinking about these relationships that you have and stop existing. Stop, just being in it, and choose to thrive. Choose to thrive. Well, those are the 3 points. The 3 points are stop. The second one is revisit your goals, whether they're short term, whether they're medium term, whether they're long term. Just revisit them. And then the other one is be alive to the present. Use the present as a gift. Know that whatever you do is intentional. You choose it, and you're being true to yourself. So as we're coming to the end of our session today, if you are living in autopilot, there is a reason why. Now you know. And I've pointed it out. Your life is out of balance. You just need to be able to get somebody to help you. This is what coaches are out there for. And I'm a transformational coach, and I can help you do that. We can have conversations around this. The first session is a discovery session, and it's free of charge. And I alluded to when I go off track, I recognize that it is stress. Maybe for you it's not stress. Maybe you have complicated things in your life, and therefore it's easier for you to go into autopilot. Maybe things are so boring, you don't know how to, inject some life into it. Maybe that's what it is, but you need to know what it is. The self-awareness of what you're doing is important, because only then can you move from existence into thriving mode so that you can have and experience abundance. So revisit yourself. This is very important. You may find that you've given up your life to routine. Routine works. I am a creature of habit, I have told you. But then I realize it's boring if I just have routines every day. So how can I change things? Stir my coffee or my tea in the opposite direction. How do I do that? For some of you, I said I changed my hairstyle, and it works for me. So what works for you? What can you bring to the table? You can go back to recordings of the Abundance of April, to episode 1, where I talked about your personal growth, and just look at those tips that I gave there of how you can get out of routine, so you can get out of the boredom in life. Routine has its place, don't get me wrong, but it can be very boring. So I ask you, as we come to the end, to take one day this week. Just take one day this week and really think about your life. Think about your life and ask yourself, am I existing? Or am I thriving? What do I need to do? And for your guidelines and guidance, I beg your pardon, just go back to the important aspects of your life and how is it that you're showing up in them. Yeah? Remember those relationships I'm talking about. How can you shake them up? When is the last time that you wanted to change something? Maybe that is how stuck you are in your routines. Well, you want to be able to fall in love with yourself again by knowing and looking yourself in the mirror and saying, yes, I've got some life injected into me, because now I'm thriving in this month of April, in this month of abundance. I am planting this seed for the rest of the year. I hope that these 3 tips that I have shared with you are compelling enough for you to try them out. The takeaways are simple, and there are 3 of them. Stop and invoke your senses. Remember the 5 senses? Invoke them and make sure that they work for you. You know what those senses are, and therefore it's important for you to work on them. Work on your desires is number 2. Those desires of yours, remind yourself. What was the emotional drive behind it? What made you decide that these were the goals you were going for? put them down, revisit them, review them, all those re words, apply them, and then be present to the here and now. Thank you very much. That was our last episode on the abundance of April. I want to thank each and every one of you for accompanying me on this journey. Like I said, April is a special month for me. When I started out, I talked about the loss that I experienced 2 years ago in this month of April, but I am quick to say that I am living in the land of the living. And those who have gone before us can only leave me with lessons. And this is a shout out to my mother, Roselmina Makumbi. May your soul rest in peace. And my companion, my home manager for 26 years, Elizabeth Kajiri. May your soul continue to rest in peace. I am here and I'm continuing to live this life and being able to reflect on the things that you taught me. So this recording is going to be up on our YouTube channel by the end of this evening, LMC Consultancy. And you know what to do when you get there. Hit the subscription button, the notification button, and just drop in some comments that talk to me. I'm still desirous to drive it to 500 subscribers. So please help me to get to 500 today by hitting that subscribe button and being able to follow me and share this link with people that you know who will benefit from this. Join me on my social media platforms. I've got my TikTok, which is Clarity Coach Lucy. I've got my LinkedIn, just search for Lucy Macridis. I've got my Facebook, which is #Tuesday Talks at 3. I've got my IG, which is @lucy.macridis. Please visit me there and just leave me a message or two. Keep me company out here. Now, our self-paced courses are available on my website. Go onto my website, www.lmcconsultancy.com, and click there and take on one of the courses. Thank you so much for this month of April and accompanying me on the Abundance of April series. Let us help build one another. And until our next episode, be kind to yourselves. Bye-bye now.